What if the forest began to whisper back? Not with howls in the dark, but with strategy. Not with instinct, but with intention. Wolves already run the wild with a coordination that feels almost military. Now, imagine they started to think like us. To reason, to plan, to negotiate. The world's most efficient hunters would become the planet's most strategic predators. And humanity, well, we might no longer be at the top of the food chain. The first change wouldn't even be violence. It would be language. The howl, already a signal for territory and distance, would evolve into coded speech. The pitch, the rhythm, the echo, all carrying details, location, numbers, even emotional nuance. A single night's call could organize an army across 50 miles of forest, and it wouldn't stop at sound. Scent marks would become written notes, footprints would become directions. A landscape we once thought was silent would now hum with invisible conversation. Then comes organization. The pack, already a strict hierarchy, would transform into a form of governance. Alphas would become elected leaders, old matriarchs, the master strategists. Every hunt would turn into a committee operation, with scouts, runners, flankers, and a decision council weighing risk, cost, and survival. A human army has officers. A wolf society would have only volunteers, united by loyalty sharpened by reason. It would be unstoppable. At first, we humans wouldn't even notice. The reports would trickle in from isolated places. The wolves, they're just watching us. We found footprints, but they were in perfect patterns. Farmers would lose livestock but find no torn flesh. Just gone. Predation replaced by clean, cold efficiency. When traps start going missing and fences get dismantled overnight, we'd call it a strange coincidence. But by then, they would have already mapped us completely. Their hunting would evolve into warcraft. Wolves don't need tools or weapons, they have time, patience. They'd study our movements, hikers, patrols, delivery routes, even our power lines. They'd learn our shift changes and use the terrain like seasoned generals. Ambushes would become synchronized. Noise decoys would lead us astray. We'd send drones, and they'd move underground through culverts, invisible. We'd bring fire, and they'd simply wait for rain. And when we finally fell back, they wouldn't take our cities. They'd take the land between them, the forests, the farms, the forgotten roads, and they would never, ever give it back. Then they would innovate. A thinking wolf understands logistics. They'd begin to terraform their own territories, redirecting prey herds, guarding rivers, and keeping deer populations perfectly balanced to avoid starvation. They would plant order where we left chaos. A wolf-managed forest would thrive while ours burned and dried out. We would call it instinct, but it would be policy. The war for the planet wouldn't be fought with bombs. It would be fought with time. We age in decades. Wolves age in seasons. Their memory would live on in their bloodlines, their tactics refined with every single generation. In 50 years, a single valley could hold a dynasty of thinkers that remember every patrol, every betrayal, every treaty we broke. Their archives would be genetic, a living history written in both instinct and strategy. By now, their diplomacy would emerge. Not every pack would want war. Some would trade silence for peace, keeping human roads clear, hunting pests, maintaining balance in exchange for untouched corridors. Others would see humans as a plague to be managed. The planet would divide quietly. Our towns of light and asphalt, and their realms of shadow and soil. Borders drawn not with ink, but with fear. And this is where you have to ask yourself, if wolves came offering peace under their own laws, would we negotiate? Or would we try to dominate? Would you sign a treaty with something that stares back at you with human-like intelligence, but with teeth made for reminders? As the conflict grew, humans would turn defensive. We'd deploy thermal scanners, drones, and fortified perimeters. But wolves don't meet force with force. They meet it with planning. They'd jam our sensors by moving with herds of deer. They'd infiltrate our lands through the wildlife corridors that we built to protect nature. Our own kindness would become their camouflage, A forest fire breaks out. They would drive it, like generals commanding the weather, to cut off our supply chains. They'd know our arrogance is our biggest blind spot, and they would hunt it, not us. Economies would crumble wherever wolves rule the wilderness. Timber routes would vanish. Hunting bans would become a matter of global politics. And farmers would start whispering about agreements, sacrificing one goat a month to avoid losing 30. The old stories of werewolves and spirits would return, but this time they'd be contracts, not myths, and yet some humans would admire them. From our cities, we would start to see order in the chaos. The wolf territories would stay green, balanced, and alive. Our lands, by contrast, would be dry, overused, and broken. Some ecologists would call it cooperation. Others would call it surrender. But maybe it's both. Their evolution wouldn't stop at just planning. They would develop culture, songs for the dead, rituals before hunts, legends of the first pack that stood against man. Their stories wouldn't need words. They would live in rhythm, scent, and movement, passed down across generations. While we were busy fighting over politics, they would be building a legacy. By the time we humans truly understood what was happening, it would be far too late to undo it. The wolves wouldn't need to overthrow us. They would just need to wait. Our cities would shrink. The forests would return. And every night the howls would sound a little bit closer. Not because they were moving forward, but because the wild was growing around us once again. So here is the real question. If intelligence truly means survival, then who is the smarter species? The one that burns its own home for the sake of power, or the one that learns to share it with silence and with patience? Maybe the end of human dominance wouldn't come with a bang, with fire and blood. Maybe it would come with balance, a balance negotiated by creatures we once called monsters. And when that finally happens, it won't be the apocalypse. It will be a correction, the world, finally, remembering who it truly belongs to. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into the what-ifs, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more mind-bending stories. See you in the next one.